Is GameStop trying to destroy local card stores? Let's look at the numbers. Whoosh! Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's another impromptu video for you today. No flashy editing or anything. I was just sitting in the hot tub. I was enjoying a cool glass of apple juice while reading a fascinating article on Pokebeach. And Pokebeach was saying that GameStop in the US are about to start buying and selling Pokemon graded cards and singles. And I thought, it's a good idea to make a video about that. So now here we are. So here's what's happening. This is what Pokebeach is saying. They say, we can reveal that starting next week, select GameStop stores in the US will be buying graded cards from customers, including Pokemon! The company will sell the graded cards on GameStop.com. Eventually, the program will expand to all locations. Then there's a quote from a store manager who worked with GameStop to test this program. He says, GameStop's leaders believe this is the obvious next step for the company. Physical media is waning for video games. It's time for the company to branch out to trading cards. They are the future. And then one more thing to note here, obviously go and check out Pokebeach if you don't already, they're amazing. It says GameStop specifically wants to sell Pokemon cards. Simply put, Pokemon is GameStop's fastest selling TCG, and it is by far the most popular franchise. They want to sell cards like a local game store. I say local card store, but like a local game store. There's a few other bits here to note. So it goes on. It says, no official announcement has been made, but obviously Pokebeach is solid. We should know more next week. It's only going to be PSA graded cards. Get out of here, Beckett and CGC and whatever one it is where you stick it in the machine and a Terminator tells you what grade it is. ACS, maybe? We don't want any of those things. Only PSA here. We're PSA snobs. Only PSA 8 or above, and a limit on the value of $500. So, I mean, the bad news is by the time this is rolled out next week, basically anything in Sword and Shield era, like an Ordnance Art or a Traded Gallery in a PSA 8 is going to be over $500. So I don't know what people are going to want to buy there. But anyway, as for singles, it looks like they are only going to be selling raw singles priced around the dollar mark. So, reverse holos, energy cards, stuff like that. And cards will be sourced from the secondary market, whatever that means. And quite honestly, the reason I wanted to make this video is this seems like pretty huge news to me. Like, it seems like a big deal. And I have some questions, I have some thoughts if you guys are interested in hearing them. So my first one is that I'm looking at this from a business standpoint. And clearly GameStop are sitting there and they're thinking a couple of things. They're thinking, okay, all this sealed product that we've had for a while, if we just held that, we'd probably be in a much better position than we are now. Secondly, they're not getting any residual revenue on the Pokemon cards that they're selling, and they currently only sell sealed product, right? So people buy their booster boxes, some booster boxes are sold there, ETBs, the massive packs, blisters, all that stuff. So they're looking at this whole residual market out there, like the secondary market where, there's buying and flipping of singles, there's graded cards, there's all this other stuff that people are able to do with the product they sell after they've sold it, and they can't do anything about it. So logically, yeah, they want a piece of the action. Now, if you're sitting there, collector, investor, whatever you want to call yourselves, and you're doubting the future of Pokemon, you're worried that they might be dead, like, where are things kind of going? Just stop doing that right now. Please stop. Like, GameStop know what they're doing. They're looking at how they think they can make money in the most effective way possible. And clearly they want to put their eggs in the Pokemon basket, right? I'm curious to know, or to see, I guess, what it's going to look like in the store. I mean, are they going to sell these graded cards on like straight back to people? Is that going to be the plan? Like in store, are they going to have big display cases with all the robberies and thefts that happen? Like they'll have all these steel bars across them, and you'll have to get one employee or get the manager and call up to head office and put some kind of code in to unlock the cabinet or whatever. That could be pretty interesting. It's also unclear from the article, unless I missed it, exactly how they're going to price this stuff too. I mean, they can't go off a TCG player for PSA graded slabs. Are they going to start scraping, things like price charting, Pokedata, like eBay last solds? Or are they going to have access or create their own API system so that they can set the values of these cards? And that to me is both quite curious and intriguing, but also insanely worrying, because if they can just say, hey, this is we got all these, we can see all the stuff we have in inventory across all these, hundreds or however many thousands of stores they have across, eventually, I guess, USA and Canada, and I think they're in New Zealand and the UK, a few other places. And they can say, hey, like, we have all this inventory, we need to shift, we can lower the price, we can increase the price. They can have huge influences on how the market is looking. There is some speculation about whether they hold tournaments, and this kind of brings me to my biggest fear, and it's the tagline of the video. Maybe it's why you clicked on it, and that is the impact on local card stores and whether this is actually a good thing or not. The article does talk about, all the kids can come in and they can have a good time, and everyone's going to be happy. And my kids love GameStop. I mean, the employees are super great at my local location. I always come out of there with an extra Squishmallow or a stuffy or whatever it is. I have two girls. But yeah, it's like, let's say you live in a town in, I don't know, middle of Arkansas, somewhere, I don't know, some little town. You got bakery, you've got your ice skating rink and your bowling alley, you've got your local card store, and you got GameStop. Well, to me, you're not going to have your local card store for very long in that little town, because GameStop is now going to be doing everything the local card store does. And that's kind of concerning, because local card stores are the lifeblood of the community, right? And this is another instance of a big box store coming in and saying, hey, we're just gonna do what we want. We're gonna ride roughshod over you guys, and we're gonna put you out of business. That's kind of how it seems to me. And you may have a different opinion. Maybe you think it's a bad take. I had too much apple juice tonight. I don't know, but I think my primary reasoning for thinking this way is because, I mean, if they're able to have so much more buying power and maybe absorb, razor thin margins or potentially thinner margins at least than a local card store, like let's say your local card store is buying cards at 60% their value, right? And then they're selling them at maybe 10% more than market. Maybe that's how they have their business model. Maybe they're buying at 80% and selling at market. I don't know, whatever they're doing. Or maybe GameStop just come out and say, well, we set the market price, so that's great. Anyone can access market price, but instead of buying it for 60% or 70% of market value, maybe we say to people, here's an incentive to come to our store instead of the local card store. We'll buy it for 90%, or we'll buy it for 98%, because we'll take the risk, we control the market and how things work, and that extra 2% margin, it doesn't really matter. We're going to put you out of business, and then we can decide that, we're actually going to buy cards at 50% market once the little guy is gone. That is a little bit concerning to me. And I mean, they've got a lot of physical products in there, potentially more than your average local card store may have, the video games, all of that kind of stuff. Maybe there's more of a draw for people to want to come in and trade their cards, their graded cards, because this is just the beginning. I mean, who's to say it doesn't come up and then the limits increase to thousands, and all of a sudden, they're just they are essentially your local card store with a few video games and extra bits and bobs there. It really doesn't feel super great, quite honestly. I don't love this from the angle of the local card store, but I am curious to know what you guys think. I wanted to make this quick video, an impromptu video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I am going to get off to bed and try and not have a hangover in the morning. I will speak to you guys soon. Take it easy.